Somalia, a country east of Ethiopia and located in eastern Africa, was under control of both Britain and Italy at the start of the 20th century. However, after World War II, Italy was obliged to renounce their control over Somalia to the UN, and Somalia was granted independence in 1960. Unfortunately, in 1969, the president of Somalia was assassinated and a military coup seized the country. As a result, a state of anarchy ensued in 1991, and to this day, Somalia lacks a central government and remains a lawless nation afflicted by human rights atrocities. Geographically, Somalia's advantageous flat terrain allows at least 70.3% of its land to serve as agricultural lands, especially for its natural resources such as uranium and largely unexploited reserves of iron ore, natural gas, oil reserves, and many more. However, there is also a disadvantage aspect in that it restricts mobility. Somalia's strategic location on the Horn of Africa extends from the south of the equator and provides opportunities of global trade, which allows it to develop economic survival strategies.
One of the main issues surrounding Somalia is their poverty rate. Somalia ranks amongst the 10 poorest countries in the world. Out of a population of 12.3 million, about 4.7 million people are dependent on humanitarian aid and livelihood assistance. More than 300,000 children under the age of 5 are acutely malnourished, and 1.7 million children are out of school. Due to the fact that Somalia suffered through more than 20 years of conflict, Somalia destroyed much of the infrastructure, economy, and legitimate institutions.
Another main issue that stands out in Somalia is children's rights. Somalia is one of the poorest countries in the world, so children are forced into labor in order to provide for their families. According to the World Factbook of the Central Intelligence Agency, 49% of children between the ages of 5 and 14 are in child labor. However, the most alarming part is the continuous recruitment and use of young children as soldiers. According to UNICEF, this part of the issue has been getting worse because the militia has been using educational institutes into recruitment areas, and as a result, about 2,000 to 3,000 children have been enlisted in the past, as young as 9 years old. In fact, right now, there could potentially be about 5,000 children who are recruited to be a child soldier. Due to this fact, many schools have been destroyed, and about 3/4 of the children are uneducated and unable to attend school.
Somalia has an expensive population pyramid, which means that the country's population is still growing and young. With its high fertility rates and lower average life expectancies, it is categorized as a developing country. Its structure is expected to remain the same despite an inevitable population increase. The population growth rate is 1.92%, whereas the current life expectancy at birth is about 52.4 years. It should also be noted that the female population lives longer than the male population. About 85% of the nation are native Somali, while the other 15% are Bantu and non-Somali. In addition, the people of Somalia have two primary languages, Somali and Arabic. However, some speak Italian and English. Lastly, the nation's official language is Sunni Islam.
Healthcare in Somalia is largely in the private sector. Having this system would not benefit the majority of the country as the access to professional doctors is so limited and rare. We hope by funding health clinics with $300 million, this will provide its citizens with education regarding the use of contraceptives and hopefully reduce the growth rate. In addition, creating a community-based organization that can educate and deliver the information surfacing health and nutrition through programs and services will enhance their knowledge. As of right now, more than 70% of the population is under the age of 30. Having this growth rate would be detrimental to the country's future. Providing general education can easily be determined to be the most important factor in uplifting and creating a big change for generations to come. As of right now, if a child wants to go to school in Somalia, it is the family's responsibility to pay for the teacher's salary, the child's textbooks, and the child's transportation to and from school. We hope by spending $500 million, or half of our budget, towards building schools and making education more easily accessible, we will greatly lower the cost of a child to receive an education, and thus ultimately future generations will be equipped with the opportunity to take on more meaningful jobs, and ultimately it will help the country of Somalia become more and more industrialized.
Somalia as a whole faces an obscene poverty rate, low life expectancy, low adult literacy, and low employment rate for youth due to its fast, ever-growing population. Hopefully, by providing around $200 million to provide the public with some sort of program informing its citizens the pros and cons of having a child, their cost, and use of contraceptives, the country may face an entirely lower growth rate and thus counteract these statistics.